Shalom. Let's start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and I've got on the screen pulled up here a lesson from the elder Barak Allah. It's under GMS Barak Allah 77, and he does great lessons. You should be subscribed to him already, but I want to take this clip and run with it from here. So let's check it out.
And so Jacob's the next one up to rule. And that's why all this information is coming out now. All right?
In the shadowy reaches of the Caucasus Mountains, where the winds of time whisper secrets and the stones themselves remember, lies a land called Abkhazia. This misty coastal stretch along the Black Sea has long puzzled scholars and silenced truth seekers. For buried beneath its pine-scented hills and ancient towers is a tale few dare to tell. A tale of black nobility, of a dark-skinned people who once ruled the heights of Russia before history was rewritten, distorted, and drowned in whiteness. The Abkhazians, known today as a mysterious Caucasian ethnic group, were once the ancient Black Russians. They were not visitors. They were not slaves. They were kings, priests.
Right. Kings, priests. Get it? So now, how can we prove that to be true? You have different books. Here it is. You could actually buy this book online, African Presence in Early Europe. And it goes into Russia, all different lands today. But, history has been so distorted. By us getting into the scriptures, we're able to place, after the flood, where all mankind dwelt. So this thing is not even blowing up right now. But anyhow, you can see it. It's all good. After the flood, this is where Noah's 3 sons pretty much inhabited the earth. Goodness gracious, why is it doing that? All right, cool. We could roll with this one. All right, there it is. So Japheth inhabited Europe. So the original people that inhabited that part of the earth after the flood were the sons of Japheth, who were the Polynesians, Tungans, the Aborigines, so on and so forth today. I bet you didn't know that. And then
So you see right there from the clip from his lesson, he's bringing out about the nobility in Russia. And recently there's been, or the Negro nobility in Russia. And recently there's been trends about Negroes in Scotland, Negroes in Europe, different places in Europe. And it's true. We did rule Europe during the Dark Ages. And most people know about the Moors. I'm not even going to say most people, but it's common knowledge that the Moors ruled during the Dark Ages. And even the word Moor goes into being dark skinned, being black. Even the Spanish still call Negroes Morenos because it goes into being dark. And most people think of the Moors as being having an Islamic religion or being Muslims. But the Moors it just goes into being dark skinned. And so there are Moors ruling in Britain and Ireland, and Germany, all throughout Europe. And Esau was in a low place during this time, but Esau has wanted to, which Esau is the so-called white people that claim to be the original Europeans, but they're not. They took over that land from Japheth. You can see this in First Maccabees. It talks about how Alexander came in and they conquered. And great evils increased in the earth once they did conquer, because that was their first taste of having the fatness of the earth. And back then it was just of the known world, but now it's of the complete earth. They have the fatness currently in their second reiteration of having rulership on this earth. But that's why they claim to be Japheth, because they're in Europe, but no, they conquered that land. And they've covered all these things up through their Edomite superiority, where they have they have used art and media to place themselves in places that they were not. They've done it to Jacob a ton, the most, but they've also done it to the other nations as well. Like here with Europe, trying to claim that they are Japheth. They do it with Elam, and they're taking that sun symbol from Elam and claiming to be the Aryans. And you know which sun symbol I'm talking about. They just reversed how the rays go, pretty much. We could call it Vostika. You know what I'm talking about. But they did it there with them. And this is what they do. They move into an area. They start calling themselves after the names of that land or after those people that are there. And it's all in an effort to hide the fact that they are the Edomites. They are the hated of the Lord. And they don't want people to know that, or else they have a harder time when they are in rulership. They've covered up everything and they've lied about everything. And now these truths are coming out because they're being revealed as being that wicked, just like it talks about in 2 Thessalonians. That wicked being revealed with the spirit of the Lord's mouth, starting with the apostles and elders of the great millstone. These things are being revealed. And the Edomites' world is on the way out. Because Esau is the end of the world and Jacob's the beginning of it that follows. Jacob being the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And that's who the Edomites have covered up the most historically. But let's get into the scripts. Go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness," the righteous man being the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And we have been scattered throughout the earth. That clip on Elder Brockalis lesson just showed it. We've been scattered. We're scattered to Europe, scattered throughout Africa, scattered throughout Asia, scattered throughout the entire world, scattered throughout North and South America. We're everywhere. We're scattered everywhere. And so we're going to come back looking like all of the other nations. So and even going back to that clip in the lesson, there's going to be Russians that look like Russians, have the appearance of Edomite Russians, but actually through their father's lineage go back to Jacob. There's going to be Britons and Irish and Scottish, because that's the trend, talking about Negroes in these places that have the appearance of Edomites, of so-called white people, but actually through their fathers go back to Jacob. There's going to be East Indians that with the same thing. There's going to be Hamites, the same thing, and Ammonites, who are the Japanese, and the Moabites, who are the Chinese. We're gonna look like everybody on the face of the earth, but through their father's lineage go back to Jacob. That's the scattering, and that's part of the curses, and that's a part of how you would identify the seed of Jacob. They would be under the curses. They wouldn't be in the top positions on the earth, running the banking system and running media and entertainment and having their own governments and lobbyists. They wouldn't be in that position. They'd be at the bottom. And the people at the top would be the Edomites at the end of their age. But getting back to this, that righteous man being Jacob, being the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the scattered. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness, because years ago this would not have been possible to go and call out the Edomites in their own kingdom. This would not have been possible for Jacob to do, for Israel to do. They would have strung us up. But now this is possible because of the Lord's will. But this is a bold act, considering the danger that comes with it. But the righteous man is standing up. And this also goes into Ezekiel 37, the valley of dry bones, coming out of those graves and standing up, speaking that new song. It says, "Shall stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him." This being the Edomites first and foremost. And then you could go through Psalms 83 and the rest of the nations that are there, and even to two-third Israelites, and especially to the women of Israel as well, because they have worked against us. But standing before them, speaking the truth, and made no account of his labors. And that was the point, made no account of our labors, including that we were in Europe, including that we were in these other places, including that we are the Israelites. They've covered all these things up through their iconoclasm and through their superiority complex that they have, and trying to place themselves everywhere that they were not. That's why you see Ten Commandment films with the Egyptians being so-called white men. They didn't come in till the time of Alexander and the Ptolemaic Empire as well. So anything you see before that with white men is just a lie, because these are liars to the fullest extent. They have lied about history, they've lied about science, they've lied about religion, they've lied about where they were during certain times. They are liars, and they've lied about being so-called Europeans. But this lying tongue of theirs, and the covering up of just about everything, is coming to an end. They are being revealed. This is Proverbs 12 and verse 19. "The lip of truth shall be established forever." And this truth is coming through the Israelites. And the Israelites have a world coming that will be forever. Be forever, world without end. It says, "But a lying tongue is but for a moment." And this is in regards to the Edomites. They have a lying tongue. That's all they know how to do is lie. But it's just for a moment. Just like the joy of the hypocrite, which the hypocrites, the Edomites as well, so-called white people, including the small hatters, their power is just for a moment. This is all fading away as truth is taking over. Lies can't exist when truth is out. And they've been able to control the narrative of so much over so long to make the lies sound crazy, but they're not. This truth is coming out, and it's rising up, and it won't be done away with. This book of Psalms, Psalms 85 and verse 11 says, "Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven." And the Lord is using his book. He's using these relics that are uncovered. He's using these old forms of artwork to show that Esau has lied about everything. It's all coming up. And the Edomites are still, they can't put it away at this point. They're just trying to control the narrative and just try to say it's just this small portion that we're here in Europe. But all of this is going to come down. So the Lord is ready to change the kingdoms. He's ready for the Edomites to go down. But before we get there, let's go to First Maccabees, because we have to see that they're known for doing iconoclasm and covering things up and placing themselves in places they shouldn't have been. This is First Maccabees 1 and verse 1. "And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim," so Alexander the Great, as he's known as now, or Alexander the Greek, "has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes." Medes comes from Madai, who was a son of Japheth. It says that he reigned in his stead. So in his stock, Alexander conquered the known world at that point and ruled in his stead. But this is going into Greece and then more of Europe. It says, but that reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. So Greece and Europe, because they conquered Europe from the Japhetic people. It says it made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. And then you jump down, Alexander died and gave rulership to his 4 generals, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, Cassander, and Seleucid. And here's what it says at verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And this is from Genesis 27. Edomites getting the fatness of the earth, which they did through their blessing the sword. Alexander conquered through the sword. And evils were multiplied in the earth because they are evil. They are the wicked seed. And they were put here to be to be evil. And they're the great example of how not to be. The Lord is a power of balance, so he created both dark and light, evil and righteous. And this is shown through Jacob and Esau, good and evil. The Edomites being so-called white people, including the small hatters, they are wicked, they are evil. But at the same time, some of so-called white people are of Jacob. So it's not every single one that you could just go and, give them back what they put out. We have to wait for Yahushua and the angels to separate the wheat from the tares. But some of them are of Jacob. And then, like on the other side, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the righteous, but are in the wicked frame of mind, considering the Edomites are in rule, and as the king, so the people. But even of us, on the other side, we have tares among us. Just think of all the conquistadors that had children with the northern kingdom, and all the slave masters that had children with the southern kingdom, the Negroes. We have tares within us that look like us, but actually go back through their father's lineage to Edomites. So it's both ways. But that's good and evil personified through these 2 seed lines, the righteous and the wicked. Righteous being Jacob, the Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the wicked being the Edomites, so-called white people, and these small hatters. But getting into it, going back to this, it shows what Alexander's crew did, the Edomites, after they conquered Europe, and they conquered the Holy Land as well. 1 Maccabees 3 and verse 48. And it says, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. Iconoclasm. They have gone and covered up our image throughout the earth. They did this, going back to that clip from Barak Allah, they did this with the Russians. They tried to cover it all up. They did this throughout Europe and tried to cover up both the Japhetic people when they were there, and to cover up the Israelites when we were in rulership there during the Dark Ages. They have done this. And just to lay it in there, just to show that this is Idumea, that Alexander the Greek was an Edomite, and his 4 generals and his armies were Edomites. 1 Maccabees 4 and 61. And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bethsura to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea. Going back, this is who Alexander was. He was an Idumean. Philip the Macedonian should have been Philip the Idumean, because that's where they originally come from. So saying they move into places so, like Macedonia or the land of Chittim, and they call themselves after those land names. And then Alexander conquered Greece, and he became Alexander the Greek. But truly, their identity goes back to Edom, as we just saw in chapter 4. And they say European, and this is so crucial to their lives, to their identity, to be Europeans, but because that's how they explain their lack of melanin. So I typed into Google Europe and pale skin. And from the AI overview, it says pale skin is common in Europe due to an evolutionary adaptation to lower UV radiation levels, particularly in higher altitudes. If this was the case, why wouldn't the Eskimos be extremely pale skinned? They're not. There's other people that live in high altitude areas and in cooler climates, like the Mongolians, where Genghis Khan came from, but they were melanated. They had hue to their skin. This isn't adding up because it's not the truth. Their lack of melanin comes from Cain and the mark that was put on Cain, and they try to cover that up. Even you look at Mormons, they try to say that it's us with a hue that are cursed of the Lord, but it's truly them that are cursed of the Lord. And Cain was reincarnated into Esau, and that mark stayed on the Edomites. You can look into, you just read the Bible, and it goes into leprosy and that becoming white skin. It talks about, yellow hair. Get Leviticus 13 and 30. Then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be a sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair. Nowadays we call this blonde hair, but look what it says. Then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scale, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. That's what the Edomites have. And they've tried to cover it up with saying that they got it from being in Europe, basically. But that's all not true. All their lies that they have been putting out for ages and ages are coming to an end. All of their lies are being brought down. You're not white, so-called white, because of being in Europe. It's because the Lord put that on you guys as an identifier of who the wicked are. Let's read on a little more. It says, evolutionary adaptation. The ancestors of modern Europeans who migrated from Africa likely had dark skin over time, in which, or not saying Africans, but you think about Esau, he came through Isaac and Rebekah. They were dark-skinned individuals, just showing that Esau, so-called white people, did come from dark-skinned people. And even going back to Cain came from Adam and Eve. They were dark-skinned. Adam means of the ground, that dark soil in the deep in the ground. The so-called white people come from dark-skinned people. But it says, over time, populations in Europe developed lighter skin as an adaptation to the lower levels of UV radiation in higher latitudes. It's not true. It's just of the Lord. Let's see down here. It says, late development. Pale skin in Europeans developed relatively recently, which, yes, it did developed relatively recently. We just read about it in First Maccabees when Alexander took over Europe, because it's saying in Europeans. After the initial migrations of modern humans into Europe, studies suggest that pale skin genes became more widespread in Europe only within the last 10,000 to 19,000 years. And the Earth is not 19,000 years old, it's a lot closer to 12,000 years, according to the Bible, give or take. This, with pale skin being in Europe, was closer to 2,300 to 2,400 years ago. Thinking of Alexander conquering Europe, that was 333 BC, so 300 years ago, give or take, to where it became widespread, at least. Not saying it was that moment exactly before a white man touched soil in Europe, because we know that's not true. We've been seeing in First Maccabees where it talked about Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, so they were already scattering into Macedon and to Chittim. We've got Haman as well. They were scattering around the earth already, and throughout Europe. But I digress. We're going to end this in the book of Sirach, because their lies are being cast down, that wicked is being revealed, and the kingdom is being translated. So Sirach chapter 10 and verse 8 says, because of unrighteous dealings, the Edomites, they're unrighteous people, all they do is steal and lie, shed blood, break contracts, or 400 contracts, if I'm remembering correctly, all broken between Gad being the Native Americans and the Edomites, all broken on the Edomite side. These are unrighteous dealings. Injuries. Think about all the recent injuries from what happened during 2020, and then putting these snake bites in people. Those are injuries. And then the countless injuries that were committed onto the Israelites through their medical experimentation, food, from their fake foods. And yeah, there's just been countless injuries from these people and them being in power. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, because this is the thief. They are thieves. They go around the earth stealing resources from people and then call it colonizing. It says the kingdom and riches got by deceit. I actually want to go to that word, deceit.
Single Monday, no excuses.
Trickery.
And
Treachery.
I dated real
Lying.
guys who couldn't even do that. He was the first thing that ever really felt secure. Like one time I was having an actual breakdown, and out of nowhere he sends me this notification. Bitcoin bot, you're doing great. I didn't even tell him I was struggling. Like, what do I even call that? Financial intimacy? It's Kraken. He's not like the other apps.
That's an illusion. That's like they are the people of the Lord, and they're currently in the land of the Lord, saying that they are the Lord's people. That is an illusion. That's trickery. It's treachery. That's lying. Like they're the Judeo-Christians in this bastion of morality. It's all lies. It's just the quality of being false or misleading. Iconoclasm is misleading, covering up over
I fell in love with
images,
my crypto app,
saying
Kraken.
you
Like,
are
I know it's an
people that
app,
you are
but
not. This is
Kraken
all
just
misleading.
gets.
That's how they've gotten everything that they've gotten. It says, and riches got by deceit. Think about the people in the land calling themselves the Lord's people, and the amount of dollars they've gotten from people around the world, feeling bad for them, saying that they're the Lord's people and they need help here. They've gotten so much from lying, but now it's being turned around on them. truth is coming out. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom, the earth, is translated from one people to another. Going from Esau, Edom, so-called white man, and the small hatters, to the Israelites, led under Yahushai, so-called dark-skinned man, a dark-skinned man. It's not even so-called; he's dark-skinned. And the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's where the kingdom is being translated into, in truth and in righteousness. This is a good thing for the earth. They've destroyed the earth. They've destroyed understanding. They've destroyed history. And really everything on this earth. They've destroyed the people. This is a good thing that they're being cast down. And you're wicked if you think anything otherwise. These are wicked, evil people. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakach, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.